All right, how's everybody doing today? Hotep, hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network and host of the African History Network show. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, and we are back for a special edition of the African History Network show. I'm here with a familiar face, Lacy Dawson, who's Director of Leadership and Organizational Development with Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan, also known as EJAM. How you doing today, Lacy?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. It's been a very, very busy day. I know it's been a busy day for you as well. We're here for a very important conversation because on Saturday, September 21st, 2024, at University of Detroit Mercy, EJAM has a Pathways Out of Poverty Policy Summit. Pathways Out of Poverty Policy Summit. I know you all just had a successful event in August, and I would participate in that. I was on the panel discussion for that one. Let people know what's coming up Saturday, September 21st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the University of Detroit Mercy.
So, as you stated, we're going to do Pathways Out of Poverty. This is our last summit of the year. We really want to uplift the ways that we can get ourselves out of poverty if done correctly. So, we have a really packed day of workshops in the morning and panel discussions in the afternoon. We're encouraging folks to network and also really get the word out and use their influence as we're having this round of elections over the next 3 years. What do we really need to be talking about when we're asking and meeting with our elected officials or candidates as it relates to the subject and topic of poverty? We want to talk about housing, yes, but we also want to talk about everything and all things that are related to systemic change. So it's going to be a day packed with inspiration, packed with change. I know you'll be there doing a really great workshop on
Yes.
federal
Okay, breaking up,
policy,
Lacy.
history, guaranteed basic income, just fine. Uh-oh.
Right. Yeah,
We
go ahead.
have
Go ahead.
folks, we have folks coming on such as from the Detroit Justice Center just to look at criminal justice and poverty. What happens when a person is released from prison? What barriers are they faced with, and how is it that they continue to be steeped in poverty? We have two really great gentlemen that'll be talking about the Black man in poverty, really focusing their energy around that, and extraction, like how our poor communities extracted from. So we have a boatload of things to talk about, discuss, but more importantly, Mike, we need folks to come and strategize with us. We need to raise this issue, and we need to really strategize around what the future could potentially look like for Detroiters that are experiencing poverty.
Okay, so when we talk about this Pathways Out of Poverty Economic Policy Summit, okay, it's not a woe is me summit. It's not,
No.
it's not, I want people to understand. So this is dealing with understanding policy, how policy impacts poverty, and
Mm-hmm.
um, crafting policy for the future as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so explain to people exactly what poverty is and some of the ways poverty impacts African Americans. And the reason why I say this is because, in doing research for the panel discussion I was on in August, for the Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan, and then in preparation for the my workshop that I'm doing on Saturday, you see different definitions of poverty and different charts and different thresholds and things like this, and it really becomes confusing,
It can
some
be.
of this, right? So if it's so confusing that it's hard to define, then it makes it difficult to craft policy to address what's hard to define. Okay. And just to be honest, I think there may be some effort on some people's parts to make it so confusing to define it that you can't address the issue.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
oftentimes when I hear, and I know you all are 501c3 and 501c3 and you're nonpartisan, but when I listen to a lot of politicians, and many of them mean well, and many of them policies will be better for Black people than others. Many of them rarely say poverty or poor. Okay,
Nope.
but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you hear middle class all the time, right? Like we're going to
Right,
shore the
right.
middle class up, and
And
that's
lifting people up into the middle class.
into the
But
middle
but
class.
but I think you should speak specifically and say specifically poverty, poor, low wealth,
Hmm.
because that
Hmm.
speaks specifically to a group of people.
Specifically.
And when people say you see me, that resonates with them and activates that population.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly. So for me, the definition of poverty is just not having enough resources to meet the most basic
Okay.
needs. The
Okay.
most basic needs, your water, your lights, your gas, your food, your clothing, your transportation. So that is the definition of poverty, not having the means to meet your most basic need, not to get a Cadillac,
Right.
not to go to the show,
Right.
but to meet your most basic need. And I think that the stereotype of the most impoverished is often a male standing on the corner with a sign saying we'll work for food. But you
Okay.
have countless numbers of mothers, single and married, who can't meet their basic needs for them and their children that are
Right.
impoverished. And we will have folks on the panel to actually spotlight that. Like I work every day. They're going to tell a story about working every day, sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes driving for Lyft and Uber, and still can't meet the basic needs of high car insurance.
Right. I
You
understand.
know, trying to pay their water bill, trying to not just rob Peter, but you're robbing Peter and Paul and Princess.
Right.
And, so just to meet your basic needs. And a lot of times poverty is exacerbated by trauma.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
a lot of us, I shouldn't say all of us, have experienced some kind of trauma in our family, whether it was, unexpected death or car crash or house burns down, and you're immediately thrown into poverty because you don't have those assets and wealth build up.
Mm.
And it's not your fault that you don't have those assets and that wealth build up. It's usually steeped right into policy that you do not have those assets and wealth build up. Because as a poor person, depending on the system, if you tell them, well, I got $10,000 in a rainy day fund that I'm trying to keep so that me and my family are set, but I need help right now with food, they're going to say, no, you have too much wealth in their eyes to get that benefit.
Right.
So people in our city can't meet their most basic needs. And a lot of folks that you live next door to are not telling you that they can't. They're just living through it. They're just thugging it out without their issues being addressed.
Okay, so there's oftentimes some type of shame
Mm-hmm.
around poverty, and people don't want to admit
Yeah.
that they need help, even when help is available. Okay,
Mm.
oftentimes there's some type of shame around that as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so up on the screen, I have the flyer. We're going to get this up on our website with the link to register for this summit. It's free to attend, and let people know how they can register for this, Lacy.
So you can click on that QR code
Hmm.
there in the picture, and or hopefully that link is working. It should be, and just register. At this point, if you came on down without registering, we're gonna let you in also. So click on that link, register. We do ask a couple of questions in there, like, what is your profession, or what, are you an activist? Are you an organizer? Are you just a regular everyday member of the community? And what are your interests and your expertise? Because one thing I know for sure, and a few things for certain, is that in our community, no matter our economic background, a lot of us have expertise in something specific that can benefit a movement, benefit the community, and really help us come together to really talk about and fight against this thing called poverty. And like you said, Mike, we don't often hear that word, which is also something that interests me. Like, why aren't we talking about it?
Right, exactly. I think there's a shame around it, and
Mm-hmm.
I think you have some people who feel like they will turn off certain segments of the voting public if they talk about poverty, etc. But it's like you know, really the largest number or segment of voters, especially nationwide or even city, state, are non-voters, people who are
Mm-hmm.
registered to vote who didn't vote. And a lot of times they feel like their vote doesn't count. Nobody's listening to them. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge segment. I know repairs of the breach, Reverend William Barber III,
Yeah.
and they're nonpartisan.
Mm-hmm.
I know he talks about activating low wealth people, people impoverished, and the poor people's campaign, things of this nature,
Right.
going back to what Dr. King was doing in 1968. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to, so people can check this out now. Is this going to be on Eventbrite as well as?
It is also on Eventbrite on our Facebook, on the EJAM Facebook page. Yes.
Okay, give people
And I know
the,
you shared it a number of times too, so
yeah,
thank you for
and
that.
we're going to get this on our website, africanhistorynetwork.com, with the link. People can scan this QR code as well. In the description of this broadcast, we have the link there where you could click on
Mhm.
it and register for this also. There's going to be a networking lunch, and that's one of the reasons why they need to know how many people are coming, so they need to know how much food to have. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, but this will be on Eventbrite as well. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's do this. I want to. You talked about oftentimes people are put into poverty because
Mhm.
of circumstances, and one of the things that and being a historian as well as a national political commentator, understanding policy, studying policy, and having been involved in writing public policy for the city of Detroit, a lot of times people talk about poverty like people are just born into poverty as opposed to circumstances pushing people into poverty. Okay,
Mhm.
now number one, policy creates poverty. Okay,
Yes.
one, but two, if we look at this, for example, and I did a broadcast dealing with this, and I'm going to mention this at my workshop on Saturday. There was a good article from blackenterprise.com, and this article deals with, and a lot of people know that I did a presentation for the Detroit Reparations Task Force. Okay,
Okay.
dealing with understanding policy and dealing with municipal reparations, nonpartisan, but just understanding
Mhm.
policy and history. Okay, there was this article here from blackenterprise.com called New Book Reveals How the U.S. Stole $600 billion from Black Americans through unfair taxes post slavery. How the U.S. stole $600 billion from African Americans through unfair taxes post slavery, and this deals with um, property taxes. Okay, unfair property taxes. Now we know we are disproportionately overcharged when it comes to income taxes by about 13%.
Right.
Washington Post has an article on this. But if we look at this, name of this book is The Black Tax: 150 Years of Theft, Exploitation, and Dispossession in America. It's by Andrew Carl. Bloomberg.com has an article dealing with this. But to look at this specifically, it says here, there's a part that I want to go to. I'm going to close this ad out here. So they give specific examples of African Americans who were overtaxed, things like that, and lost their land. They give an example of Hillary Thomas Stewart Sr. Hillary
Mhm.
Thomas Stewart Sr. In 1920, Hillary Thomas Stewart Sr. lost 24 acres of land in a tax sale, quote unquote, under dubious circumstances, after the great great grandfather of George Floyd failed to pay $18.83 in taxes. He lost the land that forced the Stewart family into poverty. So this man, Hillary Thomas Stewart Sr., was the great great grandfather of George Floyd, who was killed May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. because of overtaxation on his land, and because he couldn't pay $18.83 in taxes, he lost this land that forced his family into poverty and probably had a huge effect on future generations. Okay.
Definitely.
So this is an example of understanding how law and policy impacts conditions and why it's
Mm-hmm.
important to understand history. And at the very same time, I just talked about this in my class, my online history class on Sunday. You have a concerted effort by certain forces and certain groups of people to suppress the teaching of the history in school and ban
Right.
books, right? And I keep hearing people telling, specifically African Americans, slavery was a long time ago, or that history is a long time ago. It doesn't have to be slavery. It can just be from the
It's
Jim Crow
not.
era. Okay. They say it's a long time ago, but they keep pulling up laws from that period of time
Right.
to attack African Americans.
Right.
Okay. You
Right.
it just give you a quick example. I want you to respond to this. The Fearless Fund. Okay. The Fearless
Mm-hmm.
Fund just had the group of African American women, Ariane Simone and others. They just had their a court ruling, and the Fearless Fund venture capital firm drops grant program for Black women business owners. Okay, so this is an article I talked about this Saturday. This is an article from CNN.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is from September 12th, 2024. This is from CNN.com, originally by the Associated Press. Thursday, September 12th, 2024. Fearless Fund drops grant program for Black women
Black
business
women.
owners in lawsuit. Okay, they were ruled against by a federal appeals judge, a panel of federal appeals judge. Three of them, two ruled against them, one ruled for them. Okay, but the lawsuit against them, I want everybody to understand this. The lawsuit against them is using the Civil Rights Act of 1866,
66.
which was the year after slavery ended. And that law was created specifically for African Americans, for the former slaves, for us to be able to enter into labor contracts and negotiate wages and enter into
Mm-hmm.
contracts. So, how is it that you keep having people say that was a long time ago and that doesn't matter? You should get over it, but you keep using laws from that period to attack us. Go ahead, Lacy.
Exactly. There's no way to get over it, right? Policy and laws are exactly that, policies and laws. And it doesn't matter to them that that law is ancient and almost irrelevant, in my opinion. It's one of the most egregious and ridiculous things that I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other kind of important history behind that is when we were emancipated, we were flung deeper into poverty um, than anything else that I could imagine. I couldn't imagine being emancipated and having nowhere to go. So that was intended to help lift us up. That law was like, okay, we're going to help you all out, right? Less than 200 years later, we're going to use it as a sword to chop you up. So Black women do not have the right to have a grant that would help them eliminate some of the most egregious things and acts that had come across us upon us from this economic injustice system.
Right.
And to me, it's so historical and so generational that we need to do a lot of things. It's an ecosystem that we're going to have to create around not just policy, but law, um, and the teaching of history that you just brought up. I actually was speaking with a student at one of the most prestigious high schools in Detroit.
Which one was
And
that?
do I have to name it? Renaissance. I'll say.
Oh, I thought you meant Cass Tech. Well, I
No,
graduated
I
from,
didn't.
but okay.
No,
All right.
she goes. She's at Renaissance, and she said to me,
Okay.
"I asked,
They're okay. They're
they
okay.
okay?"
Yeah. They're not Cass Tech, but they're okay. They're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're okay. She's a very smart young woman, very smart. And I asked her about the civics classes and the government classes, and she said that you don't get to take those unless you're in AP. And
Advanced
I'm going
placement. Advanced.
advanced placement. I'm going, everybody in school does not get to take civics or government because it's an advanced placement class. So, how do we groom our young men and women to be able to fight against a history that they can't even learn about.
So she said that at her, is it um okay, Renaissance High School, for those that don't know, is part of Detroit public school system.
Yes.
Okay, so is she saying in her high school specifically, or Detroit public schools as a whole, you don't get to
Mhm.
take civics unless you're part of advanced placement?
I asked her specifically about where she was,
Okay.
right? So I can imagine if it's like that at one of our top tier schools, what it might be at some of the others. And I'd be interested in even knowing and learning more about how we're teaching civics and or government or policy to our youth, because
Right.
that connectivity is definitely something that we need to have in place to connect our young thinkers to the possibility of change. We cannot eradicate poverty if we can't help Black women get grants to open businesses because of a law in 1866 that nobody knows about or has studied, other than the folks that want to use it as a weapon, who want to weaponize it. And
Right.
it's saddening. And this issue of poverty, when I saw the statistic that was published by the University of Michigan Poverty Solutions Department, the statistics said that more than 43% of the children that live in Detroit live in poverty.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most hurtful things, statistics that I've ever read. So when I see a school bus going down the street, I now know that there are children on there that don't have food, water, clothing, the bare necessities to live. And then
Right.
they're being bussed into schools that aren't even teaching them how to weaponize themselves to be better. You can't even learn history and understand what this system is doing so that we change it. So yeah, all of that connectivity and the ecosystem that we have to create is urgent. And I also say we have to talk about it. And, like you said, some people are embarrassed by their situation. We have to let folks know that, hey, but for the grace of God, and who knows in 2 months, right, that I could be right there with you dealing with that situation.
Right.
And we don't have to, as one of the richest nations in the world, we don't have to, as one of the nations that use so much free labor from our ancestors, we should not have to be going through this. And Mike, I would also say
Mm-hmm.
there are all these systems that are supposed to eradicate poverty. And I had an experience a couple weeks ago where I took someone close to me to try to get a job through one of our institutions,
Okay.
Detroit at Works. And when we walked in, the woman said, well, here are 2 websites. I want you to go home and watch these 2 websites. I watch these 2 videos and then call us and let us know you watched it or come back. And I said, well, what if this was our last $2 on the bus to come up here with all this hope in our hearts to get a job, and you're telling us to go watch these 2 videos? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I said, okay, I tell you what, where is a computer? We'll watch it here. So
Right.
we ended up watching the videos there. We went back to the desk and said, we watched the videos. And she said, thank you so much for watching the videos. I'll log it. We'll be in contact with you into 6 to 8 weeks to to get you connected to a career coach. I'm going 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. She
Yeah.
said, well, that's the process, right? So that's not even a policy issue or a law issue. That's an administrative issue. Like, you all don't even know how to administrate this process to help people who are looking to get out of poverty to get somewhere else. So, it's just egregious. And it was a long drawn out conversation between me and the worker. And I told her, it's not against you, it's against the system. The system is not working.
Right. Well, not only that, um, it's like not understanding the dire urgency of many of those who are in poverty. Okay, they don't
Yeah.
have 6 to 8 weeks to wait
No,
for a phone call
no.
to get them ready to get ready. I mean, so
Yeah, get them ready to get ready. Because she said then you would, once you got the coach, it'll take you probably about a month to go through the coaching program. And then you'll get to go to the training program. I said, yeah, I just, it really hurt my heart to go through that with this young woman who's really wanting to get on her feet, right? Really
Right.
wanting to get on her feet.
Yeah, we have to have better ways to connect people to job opportunities that work
Yeah.
outside of some of these institutions like that. I've had experience with um, was it Detroit Works?
Michigan.
Not Michigan. I forgot which one. Is one downtown. It was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was doing consulting work, and
Mm-hmm.
we were consulted for a local community college, things like that. And it's sometimes I think they have a lot of people there who mean well, but sometimes you think the agency is set up for the people to work there to have jobs, but it's not understanding the urgency of the people who are coming to you to be serviced,
No.
and how you have to
Mhm.
expedite this. You streamline it, expedite the process, okay? Because
Exactly.
they may not have time to come there 3 or 4 times in a month or something
Or
like
the
that.
resources.
Right, exactly,
May
exactly.
not
The
have the buster,
resources.
may not have the gas, may not have the time.
Right,
This person actually is suffering with depression. So now she done got up all the gumption to go, and it's
right.
so absolutely not.
Exactly, exactly.
No.
Okay, now I was looking at a piece here in preparation
Mm-hmm.
for um, last in preparation for last month, and I'm going to discuss it on Saturday in my workshop. Now, what time is my workshop, Lacy?
Your workshop will start at all of the workshops start at 11. They're from 11 to 12, right before lunch.
Okay, the breakout sessions.
Yes, the breakout sessions, the workshops, and they are workshops. So folks should come to work and think and be moved to actually, go back and forth with your facilitators about, hey, this is I agree with you, I don't agree with you, or here are some ideals. Maybe you come down there and give us all solve the entire issue. That's really what we're trying to look for, or at least continue to create a buzz around. Um, our most vulnerable folks.
Okay, if we look here at this is Detroit Economic Indicators Report, uh, second quarter 2023. Let me switch over to this here.
Mm-hmm.
This is from the city of Detroit. Okay, so if we look at this, it's on page 4. Let me scroll down to this here. It's on page 4. Okay, this is what I want. Yeah. Okay, median household income 2019
Wow.
2022. But it says that where's it put it at? Detroit poverty rate is 33.8%.
Mm-hmm.
And 20 okay, right here, 2022. In 2022, Detroit had a poverty rate of 33.8%, which was approximately 2.5 times higher than Michigan's poverty rate of 13.4%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Detroit is about 78% African American. And I think last time I checked, we were about 10% of African Americans were like 10% of the population of the state of Michigan, right around
Mm-hmm.
10%.
Okay.
Talk about some of the reasons why the poverty rate in Detroit is about 2.5 times higher than the poverty rate in the state of Michigan.
I'm gonna say extraction. I'm no expert, but
Okay.
extraction. Where do you go to get a job in Detroit? Fast food restaurant, car wash. If you work downtown, you either live downtown or you are transplanting yourself into the downtown area and leaving out. And most of the poor folks that live in Detroit are getting on the smart bus and traveling miles and miles out to get a job that pays little to nothing. So Detroit used to be a bustling city. There was a lot of extraction of businesses and different industries. The manufacturing industries, etc., left, and it was not replaced by anything that could bring us back into that robust middle class that Detroit had at one point in time amongst our Black people. I really believe in my heart of hearts. It's all around extraction of resources, extraction of taxes, and just some bogus deals that have happened for the
Okay,
city
so
of
over
Detroit.
taxation. So we're dealing with policy. So for people to
Mm-hmm.
understand, policy, well, as I explained to people, politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, policy, and resources, and the
Mm-hmm.
writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement, which is why it's so critical for civics to be taught in schools,
Yeah.
because if you don't understand how all this is put together, if you don't understand the rules of the game, then you're not going to be able to score points and win the game. As I explain to people, oftentimes we're playing a real life game of political football, and most of
Mm-hmm.
us don't know the difference between a first down and a touchdown and wonder why we don't have points on the board. Okay.
Right.
And are not winning. This chart right here, median household income 2019 and 2022. It shows United States. Okay, green is 2019, gold is 2022. United States median household income $65,712 in 2019, $74,755 in 2022. The median is the point, a statistical measure where 50% of the population is below that point,
Mm-hmm.
50% of the population is above that point. It's different than the average.
Yeah.
Michigan median household income $59,584 in 2019, $66,000 in 2022. Detroit median household income 2019 $33,000, and 2022 $36,000. So we see a huge difference, just in a huge disparity just in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about, and most likely if you're making $36,000 a year, you're going to be in poverty, especially if you have children.
Yes.
You're not going to make enough money just to meet the basic needs. Okay, not go to the
And
casino every weekend, but just
right.
the basic needs. Go ahead.
But think about it. That makes people go to the casino every weekend because they're trying to bump up some funds in their pocket, and they can't do it that way, right? I think when you look at childcare
Mm-hmm.
costs in the city of Detroit, one of the panelists actually, Mr. Brent, said, he's paying $385 a week
Mm-hmm.
for childcare. I'm surprised he didn't say he was in poverty, because it blew me back that the things that we have to pay for, the bare necessities, we cannot afford.
Right.
And if you look at the median income on $36,000 a year, if you have one or two children, how are you going to make that? How are you going to make that? Your car insurance is going to be an average of $300 to $400 a month. If you have a car note, $300 to $400 a month. It's just an enormous burden that should be able to be lifted from folks. And it's not that people are lazy and shiftless and dumb. It's just the way that the system is set up for failure. And you don't
Exactly.
really get the breaks that a lot of folks who have more means get. You don't get those breaks.
Exactly. So what do you want people? So once again, everybody, register for this conference. This is taking place on Saturday, September 21st, 2024, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. At University of Detroit Mercy
I see.
campus, 4001 West McNichols, 4001 West McNichols in Detroit. And we have the flyer here. QR code is there in the description here of the broadcast. The link is there to register. We're going to get this on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register there as well. Pathways out of poverty, exploring the faces, facets, and solutions to eradicate it. What do you want people to take away from this conference that's taking place on Saturday?
I would really like for folks to take away the fact that the matter is very urgent. And I know poverty has existed forever, but the matter is very urgent. That we do have local elections that will be coming up soon. We're going to get through this presidential election
Sure.
for sure, but we do have local elections that actually impact you a lot faster than
Yes.
presidential elections, and that we should be having very intellectual conversations with those who want our vote coming next election cycle, and that we continue to just talk about this. Again, more than 43% of our children live in poverty. We should have that on every billboard, every street sign, every license plate, so that we together can eradicate it, because we can. We're not saying give everybody $1 million. You know, we need we not even maybe we need a guaranteed basic income in Detroit to help lift folks out of poverty. We need less car insurance, but all of these things should be placed under the auspices of these are the things that are keeping folks impoverished or steadily pushing people into poverty. So we welcome folks to come down who are concerned about this issue and who can help craft the conversation and to have the conversation all across the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan to say, hey, we need some relief. We need some relief, better safety nets, better processes to really take care of the least of us and all of us for that matter.
Are there going to be different agencies, organizations there that will be providing information to connect people to these pathways as well? Can you talk about that for a minute, please?
Yes, we will have some resources there to talk to that will have information about where you can get help.
Okay.
And we're asking people, if you go to get that help at that agency and it doesn't work out, to let us know. We also will have organizations that are on the ground fighting for different issues like housing, transportation, building your own business. We'll have those organizations there as well to provide information to folks that as needed. And if you have something you want to bring, you're welcome to bring it out. Speaking with the audience, if you have some information you'd like to bring it out. We just want to really connect as many dots as we can to create our own safety net as possible.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So this is taking place Saturday, September 21st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You said I speak at 11 a.m. You said the workshop
from 11 to 12. You get a whole hour.
Okay. So there are different breakout sessions from 11 to 12, different workshops. And I'll be doing one as well. So people come out for that. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll get this up there with the link, and let people know how they can contact you all or follow you all on social media. Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan. How can they follow you all on social media?
Yep. Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan is our Facebook page and our Instagram.
Okay.
We don't do X or TikTok or whatever you guys call that stuff.
That's fine. That's fine.
You can find us on both Facebook and Instagram as Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Well, look, Lacy, I look forward to seeing you Saturday.
I look forward to seeing you too.
Absolutely. Good to have you back on. Detroit, come on out. Detroit and Metro Detroit, come on out for this. And also this, even though the focus is on the African-American community, but we'll talk about poverty in general, regardless of race as well. Correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, look, Lacy, you have a great day, and I'll see you Saturday. Okay.
Okay. See you Saturday. Thank you.
All right. No problem. All right, everybody. So that was Lacy Dawson, Director of Leadership and Organizational Development for the Economic Justice Alliance of Michigan. Come on out Saturday, September 21st, 2024, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll be there. I'll be doing a workshop 11 a.m. to noon, and I'll be on a panel discussion also at 2 p.m. as well. We'll get this on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Be sure to follow us here on social media, the African History Network. On Facebook, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP on YouTube, and my personal page, and Michael Imhotep on Instagram. Post your comments here as well. Like, subscribe, and comment. And be sure to visit our website. Information about my online history classes are there, and the African History Network show. You can watch the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Remember, right now is correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.